Good evening, everybody. This is Lindy. So this is my third video on what I've learned after 2 years in the van. Remember, I've actually spent 4 years living in a van, but this van, 2 years. And I'm sure that I'm repeating myself in some of the areas, but we're going to talk about what happens to one of these 12-volt refrigerators. I got a large 12-volt refrigerator. It's difficult for me to lift when it's empty. When it's full, I can't. And they build up condensation inside and outside. It sweats outside underneath, so I have to keep it on plastic. And it sweats inside, so it freezes. It'll freeze the sides up, and then as it warms up, then that all melts, and you get all this water at the bottom of the refrigerator, which makes it harder for the refrigerator to run. So then you have to take your time. I mean, I'll get 2 or 3 or 4 cups of water out of it. I mean, it's a big deal. I have to lift everything out, and I have to put everything back in after I have cleaned out, and I can't lift it to pour it out. I have to hand squeeze it out. I put cloths in as easiest, or a small cup. So it takes a little while. So that's another thing, living in a van. It's like defrosting your freezer, but you got to do it every month. So it's extra work. That's one thing. And I know it's confusing about what I purchased as a refrigerator. I got the 12-volt, the little one first. I gave it away. Then I got a freezer, and it worked, but it was using too much energy. I didn't have enough panels. Then I got a little refrigerator. It worked, but I need something bigger, etc., etc., etc. It just goes on and on. That's the end of that. But condensation in a van is a big deal. Now, I don't know if these vents that they put in the roofs are helpful. I do not want a hole in my roof. I didn't want a vent in my roof. I wanted panels on my roof. Are more valuable to me than a vent. You could put a vent in the back window if you wanted. What I do is I keep a fan going 24 hours a day, and my windows are down, and I don't feel I need one. I'm just not sure the value of it. So I did not put a vent in my van. Do not regret that at all. However, I did put a hole for the wires for the solar. And because of the vibration and the constant moving of the van, no matter how you cock it, the cocking eventually, after time, loosens and then it leaks. So you have to constantly cock these wires. Again, vibration, moving, changes everything. Now, plastic, condensation in plastic. There are certain plastic that you have heavy-duty condensation in, okay? The clear plastic doesn't seem to be as bad as these plastic drawers. Everything was getting wet inside them. My toilet has, because of the buckets, around the rim where the lids are, where it seals, serious condensation, and it pours into the toilet, drips down, and then gets the floor all wet. And at first I was putting dog pads down there. Well, that's ridiculous, because then I got to lift the toilet up every couple days, put a new pad down. And I just couldn't resolve it. And what I found out was compact trash bags do not have condensation. So once I put a compact trash bag in there and lined it, and then put the double buckets in, condensation is still happening, but all the water is going into the compact bags, because the compact bags are not creating any condensation inside the toilet. Who would have thought? Who would have known? So the type of plastic that they're using, how it's made, some is serious condensation, and much is not. And that's something you have to learn. But compact bags do not have condensation. So now I just take that bag out, empty out the water that has been collected, and put it back in. It's a lot better than a dog pad, a lot better than the floor being ruined. It's just a simpler way to go. So that's another thing I had to learn. But it was experiment, you know. Try this, try that. I just don't have plastic drawers. I have very little plastic, other than I have some plastic storage bins that I bought from the very beginning, and they have openings, which I've discussed before, where you can just reach in. Love them. They've never created any condensation. They're just solid. They're great. I love them. I still have them. They were some of my first purchases. I have never seen them since. I would have to research on the internet, on Google, to see if anything like it's out there. But they were $10 a piece, so they weren't cheap. But they don't have any condensation. So each plastic is different. But I'll never have plastic drawers again. They fall apart. Again, vibration. So I'm saying this a lot, but you really need to understand what vibration can do to things in your van. And you're moving, and bumps, and holes in the road, and, I mean, you're hitting this, you're hitting that. Everything has to be tied down. Everything has to be protected. Just a little note there. Now, I'm going to tell you about the big mistake I made on my floor. I put plywood down. Now, I was doing my build-out during winter, so I put plywood down, and I put 4 coats of varnish over the plywood because I wanted to keep the plywood as the floor. Well, more and more water got in, so the plywood was really dirty looking. The varnish was worn off, you know. By the time I got done through the winter, the plywood wasn't pretty. So I decided I would buy these vinyl strips. Oh, please. I have to rip all those out. I'm dreading it because of the glue that's left. They separate. I've screwed some in. They're still separating. Things get in the creases. It's really difficult to keep it clean. It did look really nice when I started, but it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look good at all now because they have increased. The little strips just keep moving no matter how many I screw in. Then I'm going to have little screws all through the plywood floor to try and keep these things from moving. It was a mistake. Or maybe I just didn't do it right. I don't know. I'm just saying it was a mistake. I don't like it. I'm very unhappy with it. I wished I had just resanded the floor and put 3 or 4 more coats of varnish, which eventually, if I'm in the van another year, that's what I'm going to do. I might paint the floor. I have some antique paint I might use, but we'll see. That's all I'm going to talk about this van and what I've learned. I mean, it's been an experience. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope that I've helped in some way. I know many subscribers are saying they're getting ready to move into their van, their vehicle or whatever. And I hope somehow I can help you in a little way to make it a little easier for you, or at least you know what to expect and to not think, oh, it's just me. It's not just you. It's van life. I'll talk to you next time. Thanks for watching. Camo.